every single bonus with Bureau. That's something that is amazing because the structural turnover, you never lose structural turnover. So structural turnover, every time they reinvest, you gain more. So just because you've put in $500, well, then they're going to make a whole 95 after that, right? Well, then the next time they're going to have $600 to put back in. Well, usual turnover is going to go 500 up almost 1100. So that's what I is that you get to utilize structural turnover. You don't have to recruit a million people into this business. You have to recruit, and if you don't recruit one, how can this go? I always say I like to go and hide in my closet, and we're at 1.8%, right? And so that's why I'm like, okay, I'm willing to give this a shot. But as I got down to it, as you know, as I just told you, and I'm extremely into numbers. I'm extremely how we can gain wealth the fastest way possible, and that's compounding interest. And I've seen a ton of people, and I don't know if what group you guys are really a part of in Burax, but I have a thread that everybody's like, it's the 3%. It's the 3%. I'm going to tell you, the 3%, the 4% is not your best option. And the reason being is because you can't compound the 4%. The second one is you don't get your initial investment back on your 3%. So you're really only getting 17% or 100%, not 270. Now, is the 3% good for when you're going to be getting your money back? Sure. You're going to get your money, all of your money back in 34 business days. Okay, so if you put in 10 grand, because that's what you have to start with at the 3%, you'll get that 10 grand back within that 34 days, take it, and then you're playing on house money, right? But you were stuck in that contract for 90 days. So structural turnover, if everybody keeps adding, if every time somebody turns over their contract and they start again and they start again, you want them to get through that as fast as possible. So my strategy is staying in total return swaps because you have 15-day, 20-day, 25, 30, and 35 days that you can actually make money. Now, Lenny, can you actually allow me to share my screen? I want to show you the power of numbers, guys, because this is something that you don't have to start with a whole lot, right? Even $1,000. And I actually just sat with one of my team members a couple nights ago, and he told me, Jeremy, I need to pay you because of what you just did. And I said, don't worry. Every time you reinvest, you're paying me. It's all right. I'll take it. So I'm like, I'm here for you anytime. And I actually did the calculation on how much I would make if I took his amount that he starts with, $1,500 that he's investing today. He'll be at $1 million, not by this October, but by next October. That's without taking any money out. That's with $1,000. Now, if you just can add a little bit, right, you're going to be able to gain that a ton. Now, if you start with $10,000, guys, by next year, like next January, you're in a whole different place. And so this is the power of money here. I'm going to show you a couple spreadsheets, but the first one I'm going to show you is what I actually built with him, because I told him, I'm like, okay, I'm going to build this because I have a presentation on Thursday so I think it's the best way to look. What I've built here, guys, is basically a way that, and I can share this with Tanya and Lenny, and they can share it to you guys. You guys are going to be able to, the only number I want you to touch is this 1,500, and you put in whatever number. Now, the only thing that I can say is if you put this into 10,000, it's going to change, because I always say go to the 1.8%, do the 35 days, because you're going to get better. You're going to, $40 a day, guys, is completely worth it at $10,000. So for this, we need to just make sure that you're staying kind of within the range of this, but if we need to tweak it, I could work with any of you, and we could do that too. So if you started with $1,500 today, by October of 2022, you'll have $1.6 million. That's without taking any money out now. Now, that's not how I am. Me and my wife have a strategy that it's a little different than the reinvestment. I just want to show you that compounding every single is completely bad strategy, because if you're not compounding every day, you're losing out on pennies. Pennies become hundreds of dollars, become thousands of dollars, as you will see. So say you're going to start with $1,500. The first day, you're going to make 24 bucks. But that day, you're going to reinvest the $24. You're going to add 34 cents a day. That's all right, right? So over the whole life of the 25-day contract, you've made an extra $100 on top of your $600 that you had. So now you're going to have $21.95 the next contract. Not huge numbers, but it's still $100 extra because you just went into BeerX every day and just compounded that and just started going. Over the time, you're going to start going to where it's like, well, okay, I'm at $47, 3,000 bucks. Okay, in basically 3 months, from February to April, we've made our $1,500 go into, we've doubled our money. But I want to get into when you start seeing these amounts become like $13,000, because here you're not just doing $100, 155 bucks, you're really making $197. So there's an additional 40 bucks that you're bringing in, right? So my challenge to you is to really make sure you're logging on to BeerX every day. And if the BeerX site ever goes down, please don't panic. It will come back up. I don't know if you guys noticed today, but the server went down. And so the whole group was just in a panic mode. And it's like, just breathe, breathe, breathe. I also do Forex, and I'm panicking more on Forex than I am with BeerX, because I'm like, the market is not doing what we were wanting it to do, and we are throwing money in to keep our margins down. But that's just a side note. So look at this. When you go from $13,000, you're gonna make about 8 grand. So the faster you get to 10 grand, the faster you're going to become a millionaire quicker. So if you start with 100 bucks and just take your paycheck and just kind of add to it a little bit at a time, great. But the faster you get to 10 grand, the faster you're going to see the compounding effect. You go from, basically you're going from 8,000 to 13,000, from 13,000 to 22,000, from 22,000 up to 37,000, 37 to 63, 63 to 110. So if I could show you your fastest way that you're going to get to $110,000, this is going to be your steps, right? Now, if I told you, I have another spreadsheet, and let me see if I can pull it up here really quick. The fastest way to 100,000, if you put 10 grand in right now, October, you'll have 100 grand in that account if you did this exact method. Now, that's even with taking money out. So my wife and I have a different, because you know what? It is kind of risky to be putting your money in these stuff and just letting it sit and grow. I want to be able to utilize that and put that back into my budget. I have 6 kids, 5 girls and a boy. We are extremely busy. My wife, we started an eBay store, did e-commerce, tons of e-commerce. And my wife is just to the point where our kids are playing softball, playing soccer. They're everywhere that you can be, but our store's not getting the attention. So I'm like, when your store's not getting the attention, you're truly not making money, because you're still trading time for money. E-commerce is the exact same thing. But this is not trading time for money. This is just going in and making sure that you're reinvesting your contracts. So I always say that I'm going to do 2 days a week. 2 payments a week is going to come into my pocket. 3 days I'm going to reinvest. Now, is this going to take me a little while longer to get up to $1 million? Sure. But I'm still actually going to, because this is what I've actually invested. So I'm sorry, don't think anybody has, this is just what it is. But ultimately, I have this down to where I started with a little under $10,000. It's grown. I'm at 10,700 then. So as you can see, we're kind of pushing here. Well, I'm looking at by next January, I will have brought in $150,000. Now, that's not for Saj money. I know the 6 months that Tanya has freaking crushed it. She's killing it over there. But at the same time, she's had to work her tail off to get there. And so to me, I'm like, this is $150,000 that I just had to make sure I logged onto my Burex account and just made sure I reinvested when I was supposed to. Because if I take out, reinvest, whatever, this is life.
Yeah, we said, and I said we were going to fruit snacks. Did you forget to ask for snacks?
Hey, can you guys all mute yourselves? Can everybody mute themselves, please?
So I wanted to kind of just show you guys a couple different methods, right? $1,500 to here. Get on, reinvest, reinvest, reinvest. Because you will never understand that if I only did, if we didn't take this interest, this is your balance that you would be taking every time. Okay, you wouldn't lose this. But as soon as I get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys, you're making almost 40 grand in additional compound interest. Okay, so it's mind blowing. If you're not compounding daily, you're not getting the percentage. And now, so when you're thinking about what you're doing, think about your strategy. Mine's a 2 day, 3 days reinvest. Now, when I start making, if we're making, other file. If I'm making basically where I'm getting $8,000 a week off my interest, I might only want to take 1 day. And that will still help us get further ahead, right? And so you're going to hit that $1 million even faster. So I have another file. As you can see, this is what I do for fun, guys. It's just trying to find out what is the fastest way to get this money. The reason I did this was because I wanted to see, I compared one time. I did my 3%. I did the 3% comparing to my 1.8%. The reason you don't want to do the 3% besides structural turnover is because you don't receive this $10,000 back.
Does it ever like foam up? Like a little, not really bad. I was wondering.
Lenny, can you mute?
I wasn't letting my face dry enough, or
There we go. Thanks. So ultimately from January to June, or February to June, if I started the same $10,000, I would be getting my total investment for my next investment would be 18,000 bucks. Okay. Okay. I've pulled out 12 grand. Great. I pulled out my investment. That's awesome. But if I do it this way by July, I pulled out 10,000. So, okay, $2,000 different, but oh, that's the wrong file. You're basically $5,000. Okay, so you have $5,000 more doing it this way than you did with the 3%. So when everybody starts saying, well, do your 3%, do your 3%, I would say stop. Don't do it. If you want to do something different than the total rate, do the interest rate swap. Because you're going to get, because ultimately interest rate swap, you can start at 20 bucks and you can get 1.5 to 2.1% a day. So you're going to be able to build your smaller amounts. But the reason I can't put the interest rate swap into here is because I can't determine what every day's rate's going to be, right? So that's really hard for me to determine a actual true number. So that's kind of where I just said, okay, I'm going to keep with total rate swaps. If you want to kind of diversify and do interest rate, sweet. But if you're doing 1.8 and you get 1.5%, you're missing out on however much money that is, right? But then you could also be gaining that up on a 2.1. So between all of them, when I figured it, you're not making too much more depending on the thing, depending on the current calculation. The numbers just look better at 3%, right? They say, well, okay, I'm getting 3% a day or I'm getting 4% a day. People go, hey, that's a great number. Well, that's not necessarily the best. Basically what we're doing is we're giving them a loan for 3% interest. They're paying us our loan back within 34 days. And then after they're basically just giving us additional interest. There's not really the loan that, you know, you're giving them the loan. They're not giving you your initial deposit back. Now, the 4%, you don't get to compound at all. So that's where you, if you were to do 200 days, I'm at $105,000 in a 210 days. So, okay, 10 days different. But my 10,000 would only be about $82,000. So we're 20 grand higher, right? So that's the reason that I want to always keep in the total return swap. Another reason is because if you're building a team and your people stay in here, they're not only getting more wealthy over time, but every time they reinvest, your structural turnover is increasing to get those bonuses. And like I said, if you only brought in one person, the guy that he put in $1,500, the thing is, this is without going up in ranks. But if you do 0.06, okay, oops. I'm gonna make $90 today. Come on. And by that time, I will make 200,000 just off of this one person. And that's with only doing 6%, guys. So the thing is like my investments, I'm gaining, but if your people are gaining through total return swaps and they're getting up through these amounts and they're putting $100,000 and they're up to $1 million, you're making $198,000 over that period of time. That's a great, you know, that's an additional money that's not calculated in here. If I put that money back in here, how much faster are we getting to $1 million? And I don't know about you, but once you get to $1 million, the next amount goes about 3 million. The next amount goes to about a little over 5 million. And then you're like 8 and then over 10. So you're literally about 3 to 4 contracts away when you're at $1 million before you're at 10 million. And I don't know about you, but $1 million is life-changing to me. It's going to be 10 years of earnings for me to get there. However, $10 million, I'm set. And I don't even need necessarily Burex, right? We can kind of go and diversify. I'm going to preach to all of you to say diversify, because if I have $1 million just sitting in one company and the company goes under, we're kind of in trouble. But there are multiple companies out there that I say I completely trust in, but Burex is my favorite. So I do have one in the States. If you ever get the push to say, I don't like the VPN, because that's a huge stopper. As soon as they're like, well, why do I need a VPN to get onto Burex? Well, the IPs are not in the United States. We have to show that we're in Canada or Europe or whatever. That's a big red flag to some people. I have another option that's in the United States, but it doesn't make as much. So I go, it's 3 to 4% a week, but that's better. That's 18% a month. This is 30%. So where do I say the people need to go? Burex, right? But that's just kind of, I am now a part of, I have actually a co-founder of Crypto Royalty Club. So if you guys ever want investment help, not necessarily investment help, right? Because we're not investment people, but crypto help, things like that, please reach out, let me know. If you guys have questions, I want to open it up because I just wanted to show you power of numbers, structural turnover, get your people. If it's only 1.4%, just get them going, get them climbing, because this is your money. That's you, right? And then this is yours too, if that's what you're investing. So does anybody have questions?
Okay, Jeremy, I do. I get the spreadsheet. I get the concept of it. I guess for my knowledge, I'm sure my husband gets it much better than I will. He probably already got it. But for mine, the compounding and the withdrawing on that interest. I guess I needed more to jumping down to my level.
Sure.
When you said that you should be compounding daily, do you mean getting our whatever we earn daily out and reinvesting? Because I know that goes straight to my token pocket wallet.
So
Do I? Go
no,
ahead.
so this would be ultimately when it's paid into your BRAX account here, it's going in and reinvesting it, right? So it's just going in and you're just taking it and putting it into another contract and making that work, right?
Okay, so
So
making
that's,
another deposit.
yeah, that's you're
Okay.
going to make a new deposit. So every day you're going to make a new deposit. Now, right now I have 20 deposits going at one time. And
Okay.
when I first started and I built my account up to my 10 grand, I wanted to basically have it all come to an end at the one time. So one of my partners that's above me, he goes, Jeremy, why didn't you do a longer contract? And I said, well, because I'm trying to just do the 1.4, 15 days, 3 weeks, then my money's not sitting there for very long. And of course, right now, like that amount, my $2,500 has just dropped into my account today, and then I have more couple $1,000s drop in a couple days because I couldn't buy all my crypto at one time. So that was one of the problems. But yeah, so just not replenish, but reinvest that and open a new contract. So you might have up to 30 contracts at one time, right? And a total return swap, when you get up to 100 grand, the 1.8%, you're going to have to open up 10 total return swaps just to get up to that 100,000, because you can only do a 10,000 at a time. So it's not like you can just go in and dump the 100 grand all at once. But ultimately, you can see here, so ultimately you're going to make your 1.6% on, and you're going to make that $24. Well, the day before, when you have reinvested that's your 34 cents, you're going to capture because you have a second contract here. So that's what these are, is your next contract. Your next contract, you're going to have another 34 cents because it's not much different, right? And then it just keeps going. So each one of these are your new contracts. Now this is calculating and capturing everything that's going forward. So I know that's a lot of stuff here, but that's ultimately what we're trying to do, is we're trying to capture how many cents. Well, from one day to the next, or from one start of this contract to 25 days later, you're now making $30 instead of 24 bucks that one day. So, it just kind of builds. But whenever you get into here, you go from 497 to 567, right? So like that's 60 bucks more a day. So $60 a day. I wish I could have a raise $60 in a day anytime, right? Over a 20 or 35 day, over a 7 week, I wish I could make $7 or $60, $70 more per day than before. But you go down and look, as it builds, you're going to start getting up to the $1,000 per days, because those pennies turn into dollars, and those dollars turn into hundreds of dollars, which turn into thousands of dollars. So when you're making $1,000 a day, which just to me is mind-blowing, right? When you're making more in a day than you're making on a paycheck, on a 2-week paycheck, it's kind of like, okay, that's when I know I can be a little bit more comfortable. But you go from basically 2,000 to the next one being at 3,000. So you're just always gaining more. The next one, you're now at almost 8,000. So now your daily is almost what you put in originally if you were at $10,000, right? And you can see this gets a little bit weird because you're kind of ending contracts here. These are day 34, they're day 35, day 34 to 35. So you have all of these additional contracts going on that I had to pull in from the sheet before, because those contracts keep going. Even though you get your big amounts, they're going to keep going and you're going to keep accumulating. So now you can see that basically every day you're just growing, and it just keeps building crazy amounts. So I don't know. this is just kind of, I'm not the expert, but at the same time, as my team and I have discussed, and of course, I just love numbers, and sadly, I'm kind of that nerdy way. I've spent literally hours building these out, but it's always fun just to kind of see like how can we get wealth faster, and ultimately, this is going to be changing lives. And to me, the longer BRX is open, this is 2 years, guys. What's about 5 years?
Jeremy, can I ask you a question?
Sure, Shane.
Hey, so you reinvest 1.4 every time, and you do that every day, and this is all you do?
Correct. Well, no, this is not
Oh,
all I do.
I
This is
mean, is
not
that
all.
Ethereum?
No, this is actually your. So this is only the dollar too, guys. If you guys are
Oh,
bringing it in as Ethereum, now you can gain. Now you're not only gaining your percentage, right? Then if the market goes up, you're going to gain in that too, which is cool. Um, but it's also can be the miss. What if we hit on the down and it drops? I had to make as an accountant, I'm like, look, I'm going to look at what is the most conservative way that I can get to $1 million and the fastest way I can get there. And that's by using USD because the market doesn't fluctuate ten, based on actual dollar. I know how much our dollar is worth. That's a whole other story. Um, but the dollar amount won't change, right? And so, but based if you do Ethereum or Bitcoin, you could become that could even become faster if say Bitcoin does go to 100,000. Guys, it's like and there's no end here. But if it goes back down to 20, now you might just lost half your money. So
so
that's
either way, Ethereum, US dollar, either way, do this, and this is
yep,
the easiest. All right, cool. Thank
yep,
you.
yep, and just keep going. So as you can see, I had I'm sorry, my account logged out. I have like 0.0007, so I'm like right underneath a 0.01 or 0.001 of Bitcoin, and I'm like, do I want to just convert it to USD or do I want to add a little more Bitcoin so I can start my building of my Bitcoin? And that's probably what I'm going to do. Um, but ultimately, I'm not a risky person, so I just kind of stick to the what I can control, and I can control the USD. So I can't control what happens in our markets, and sadly enough, I'm fighting I'm fighting our forex market right now because we've been pumping money into there trying to make sure we don't get margin called. So um, does that help, Shane?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
So in essence, I do Ethereum exclusively pretty much. And so I know the minimum for the bracket that I'm in on the 1.4% daily, I have to, in order to open a new contract, I have to have 0.1 Ethereum. So
Mhm.
as soon as I hit the 0.1 Ethereum, I should just withdraw it and make it a
Don't
new,
withdraw it. Just make a new deposit.
make a new deposit. Okay.
Yep.
So then how do you do that part then? Because I've been withdrawing it and then putting it back in. And of course you lose Ethereum because they charge you a fee once you go from Token Pocket to somewhere else. So that's the part that I still don't get is how do I just, is there and make a new deposit with that money that is already there or that
Yeah,
Ethereum that is
awesome.
already there?
Great question. So ultimately, you go into, so if it, you probably come and push withdraw, right? Come back over here and make a deposit.
Okay.
And then when you have 0.1, if you're going to do Ethereum, then you'll come down here and you'll do the 0.1 here.
Can you share your screen on that one? I'm sorry, we still see the
Oh,
Excel.
I'm
Yeah, the
sorry.
Excel. No,
Let
you're
me
good.
let me share screen one. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good.
So yeah, so ultimately you'll just come, so you'll be in here, right? And you usually come to withdraw. You're gonna go into make a deposit and you'll just do total return swap, come down to Ethereum and put 0.1 or whatever balance you have in there, and then you'll open it up. I don't have anything at this point, so I can't really put anything, right, for Ethereum, but that's just as easy as it is. And I'll show you my deposits. Like I have 20 active deposits going right now. Okay, and not all of them are huge, right? Some of them are my 147 because that's what I made per day, things like that. I haven't done it in a couple days because I'm trying to accumulate it all to get it into that 1.8%. And then when I'm at the 1.8%, I'll start doing the additional stuff. But I can't, I've made basically $2,000 of money in less than 2 months. So, and I can't be sad about that.
Well, that helped me a lot because I was kind of confused on how did that work exactly, and I made 2 withdrawals, and of course, like I said, you lose Ethereum when you do that when you're going to transfer it back in. So that's great to know, so that I could start a new deposit tonight. Then.
Yeah, you can start a new deposit at any point in time. So that's what I love about it too. And and people, because if you started with $10,000 or even started with $1,000, right, you're going to make $630. But if at $630, then basically the next round you're going to have $1,600 to do the next time. But if you compound it, you're really going to have over $700 in total interest. So instead of $1,600, now you have $1,700, and then it just keeps kind of compounding and growing.
Someone wanted to know if you don't mind sharing the spreadsheet with us. I know you said at the beginning that you will send it to Tanya or myself, and then we'll be happy to share with the group.
Yeah.
That's of course if you don't mind.
No, not at all. Not at all. I've spent tons of time, but I want to tell everybody, when you guys update these, you're going to have to make sure you come through. Don't touch anything over here because this is automatically calculated. It's all formulaic. You can see. Now, say you're going to take a day out, type in use. It's going to come down here. It's going to show over here that you use so much money. Okay. So I tried to make this as user friendly as possible, but the problem is I still haven't found out how to be like, okay, if I have $1,000, you're really in the 25-day contract. If I have $10,000, you're in a 35-day contract. So you might have to build this out a little bit. And so you're just going to take this and you're going to go all the way across and copy and paste it and pull it down, and it should populate. And now if somebody has some issues and you guys don't have any Excel, not everybody's strong in Excel, and that's okay. This is what I do all day, every day, sadly. But ultimately, if you ever need help of how to kind of finish out the build, this is just kind of a start, right? So as you can see, my first one, I don't know if you guys seen this then, if that's the case, because I was only showing in Excel, but ultimately I started this and I built it backwards. So it went off the other way, and I'm like, no, for this, I'm going to build it left or right. I'm not going to expect people to be like, oh, hey, I have to go back that way. So that's why I can definitely send this to you though. And it's really a good help because if you end up using it, you can take it. If you end up adding money, come over here and you can say, okay, well, I want to add an additional $1,500 today. Okay, well that $1,500 is going to come through here. You can actually put your 1.5% instead of 1.4. It's going to automatically calculate. That comes over here, and you can see that it updated your contract. So you can play with numbers, but I just advise just be careful. So because if it will get to the point where if it goes, oh, refresh, or there's no number there, it could get a little bit hairy, and you can be like, it's not working. So it's not perfect, it's not bulletproof, and I'll try to make something that's bulletproof because that's what we're trying to gain from a team perspective. Yeah. Do you guys, are you guys part of the BRXA team, or what team are you part of, Lenny?
I'm under Kayla Jimenez. I'm not sure what her team name is, if there is one.
So I think because we fall under Corey Reynolds and Tara Scary, it's Crypto Compounders.
Okay. So we're a part of 2 different teams, which is completely okay. But there's actually a few things that our team's using. So, and we're creating, and this is just for kind of me and my 4 co-founders of Crypto Realty Club. We actually, as of tomorrow, we will have a live funnel going, and it's professionally made out of a guy from, a guy out of Australia, how about, created it for us. And we are creating it to be duplicatable. So if you guys ever have questions of kind of having a funnel, running traffic, it's free. It's a free sign up. So we should have pretty good conversion rate from a click standpoint, right, to get there. But ultimately, if you guys ever have those type of questions, and you can run things for Forsage, you can run things differently. So the guy that's actually I'm under is Paulo Barrasso. He was actually he's in Forsage as well, and he's been one of my co-founders' mentors. And so it's just kind of been we kind of have just went down below him in this, but we ended up creating this funnel. It's really beautiful. It's really professional too. So if you guys ever have questions of how you guys want to kind of lead traffic to your pages, things like that, I'd be happy to share that information too, because there is a ability to be able to duplicate it and kind of pass it. So we want everybody to win. So that's kind of where I look at it. It's like, I don't care where you guys are at. I just care that people are gaining wealth and getting out of a lot of the crap that people get into, and sadly, and it's sometimes not even their fault.
So I have 2 questions.
All right.
Okay, so first question, we are all doing, like our whole team, the total return one
Yep.
at the 20 days. So do you think what I'm hearing you say is it's a good idea for us all just to continue to do that one?
Yeah, until your amounts get higher, right? As your amounts get higher, do take the higher contracts because you want that higher percentage. But you need to probably stay in the total return swaps because your structural turnover is going to get there.
Okay.
So, and like this, right? Basically, he will have gotten me to my first bonus by December, which isn't fast, but I've also made another $3,400. So then I got another bonus just off of him, right? So if I was to recruit nobody else, I would have made basically about $4,000 because of that, which isn't great money, but it's also not bad money. I'm not going to complain about that at all. But by the time that they start getting into these bigger amounts, you can see that you're going to get paid a lot more, and you're going to be able to you're going to also be able to hit your other bonuses just off of the one person.
Right.
Because it's like 250, you're going to hit a couple here, and then you'll hit another one, then the next one you'll hit your 3 million, so you're going to get your 50,000 payout. So to me, I'm like, man, that's just awesome.
Mhm.
I have family that's like, okay, where do I start? How do I start? What do I need to do? And I said, do whatever you feel comfortable with, right? Like if you guys are starting at $1,000, whatever it is, however much it is, then it's really great to just be able to say, okay, start wherever you're comfortable. I always say start comfortably, that you're comfortable. If you lost the money, you would be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I can't say that my $10,000 I'd be okay with it, but
Yeah.
I'm taking a little bigger risk, right? So it is what it is. But I want to fast track myself, because I've worked until 1 o'clock the last 4 nights for my accounting team, not a firm. I work for a manufacturing company, but we were trying to finish the month end, and I'm just tired of doing these end of month, beginning of month crap that I'm like, I'm tired of this. And I told one of my buddies that I'm like, I can't wait until I get to plan a vacation on April, the first week of April, the first week of July, the first week of October, the first week of January, and just not care because that's my crazy times of work. So.
Mhm. Yep. Oh, and then my other question, okay, so at the end of the 20 days, So we're getting our interest every single day, the 1.4. And then at the end of the 20, you get back your initial.
Yep.
And then you can also and you get it back in whatever you're in, Ethereum or Bitcoin or USD.
You get it whatever you've invested it in.
Okay.
So if you
And then you
invested
could
Ethereum, it'll come back in Ethereum. If you invested it in USD, it'll come back in USD. So whatever you guys have invested.
Okay. And then you can just put it back in and start a whole nother deposit.
Yep.
Okay.
And guys, have any of you ever looked at the trading platform?
I have not.
Okay, I want to share this with you because tons of people come back to me saying it's just a Ponzi scheme. And I know that's what I got in Forsage. It's what I got in basically a lot of things that I've done. However, they are trading our money. And so I want you guys to be able to battle. Whenever you get something, you can come and show them, look, I'm going to move this. They have $21 million that they're trading right now on Bitcoin to USD Tether. Okay, they've gained 0.82%. They've gained 6.29% in the last 70 days or 7 days, and they've gained 45% just on this one platform. Okay, at any time they're trading almost 220 something million dollars worth of money. So they're not just taking our money and just running with it or just kind of pushing the money around. They are trading it, and you can come down and you can see. Is there any open positions? Not with this one right now. But like this is an open position right now that they're trading our money. Okay. These are all their won and loss today. You can see how many trades they've made in the last 24 hours and how many they've done or in the life cycle of this. But at any moment in time, this is something that I always I've had people come up to me and like, that's just a big Ponzi scheme. There's no way that's real. And they can't guarantee profits. This trading platform, I'm sorry, but it would cost me way too much money to just be a scam. So, and that's the way I feel. Like if it was truly a scam, guys, there's no way that they would be going through all this work to be able to show you every single open position, all of their data. This is a high dollar trading platform that they've put in to be able to show that what they're doing with our money is really working. And you know what? What I love is I love this number. That's how many trades they've lost. The reason I love that number is because it's human. It's a natural thing to lose in trades and trading, right? And so if they were showing me that it was out of 399, they were winning 399 times, I would say that's fake. But ultimately, like this is something that utilize this to your network, especially when you're talking to people, because when somebody has questions, you can come right here and say, yeah, right now they have this many open positions. This is how much they've made on the last day, the last week, the last 30 days, whatever. And so I don't know, but I've literally fallen in love with this company. I have lost sleep for the first 2 nights of finding it because I'm like, no way, it's too good to be true. But the numbers in me, I'm like, well, if I could do $10,000, how much could that change? If I could do $1,000, how much could that change? And so tried to be realistic with myself, and I go, all right, I think I could try it, because it's kind of like the fear of missing out, right? It's kind of like, okay, if I sit on the sidelines 5 years down the line, and if I didn't react, then where are we at? So I don't know about you, but I would like to 60% my money every 30 days, but that's what they're doing with our money. And that's why they can say, hey, I'm going to give you 1.4% or 1.8% or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty much why I joined, because you asked me, I think it was like the same week as Bitlosky started.
It was.
Yeah, so I was like, oh no, I never even watched the video. I was like, I can't do anything else. And then about a month later, my sponsor, Sarah, asked me, and she had already asked me about silver and gold and metals. And I'm like, dude, we're already doing 2 things. I can't do anymore. Yeah. And then Lenny contacted me, which we've been friends for years. And she said, I think I'm going to do this. And I'm like, oh, let me watch the video. And then I came back to her and I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And she's like, she's been under me from our CBD company, then Forsage, then Bitlosity. And she said, will you go under me this time?
Yeah,
I'm
well,
like,
that's fair.
Yep, let's do it. And so then she started last Wednesday and we started Thursday.
No, that's so cool. So here's the thing, guys. I have a guy that he was a purple diamond and made over $8 million in Kyani. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Kyani, but that was my first adventure of network marketing. And David Nieves is his name, and he was kind of like that guy that he went from literally being a Zumba instructor to being a millionaire, and amazing stuff. But I got to work with him. I was the director of e-commerce under one of his actual businesses that he created, and so I gained a really good relationship. But there's one thing that guy's good at, and that is networking. And network marketing is his jam. Like, he loves network marketing, and he does not know what to do in a formal business setting. And it was really funny because he just did not match. Like, I'm a very formal business guy and he's a very network marketing guy, and me and him, we just laugh. But his fiance now, I actually showed her Burax, and she showed me the company that's here in the United States. And I loved her company that's here in the United States, but they had like a monthly fee. You had to do the $49 affiliate fee. You really have to have about $500 to invest to make money, because if it's $25, you're going to make 3 to 4% a week. If you really only have like $100, you're not going to make anything. So I'm all, no, you have to have a little more. The thing that I loved about Burax was you can start as $20, and yeah, it's going to be a slow build, but it's something, right? You're making something for nothing, basically, just to let them trade your money. And so, but the first thing that they told me was, Jeremy, no, there's no way that's a Ponzi scheme. Well, I hit her up literally the first 2 days that I was in Burax, and I didn't really have anything to combat her with until I had this. And this trading platform, she told me there's no proof of trades, there's no nothing going on. And I didn't even know the trading platform existed. I showed her this. They've gotten to more research, and they see that, yes, they truly are making trades. And it's not just from this. They know other Forex people that they're actually starting to hear the word of Burax making its way through. And so ultimately, here I have a purple diamond that literally within 30 days, every company he touches, he hits diamond, hits diamond, hits diamond, right? Because he just has this posse of followers. And now they're starting to see the vision of Burax. And so I'm like, I don't care if it's 2 to 3 months later. Like, that's a great network connection to have, because he's going to be able to sell this thing. For one, it's free. You don't have to sell anything, right? But at the same time, the facts of it is he was always looking, because the thing that he always he hit purple diamond in Kyani. However, there was not a single person underneath him that hit purple diamond. He ended up walking away from $660,000 a year in Kyani because he thought that the pay structure was broken, because there should be no reason that there can't be another person to hit the exact same rank that he was. But in the 7 years he was with the company, not one person outranked him. And so he felt like that's a fault. And so he's like, not enough of my team is truly winning. And so we've started, there was one company that I did the e-commerce. The reason we did e-commerce was because not everybody networks well. And that's just is a facts. And some people can do it great, some people can't. So if you can't do it, you have to figure out another way. Well, this really doesn't take much networking. It does take some, but it's not very hard to sell something for free, because the hardest part of having something that you have to pay for is having them actually sign up and then have the belief that they can do it. So Burax is something that, guys, if you've done well in Forsage, or if you've not done well in Forsage, if you've done well in any other company, you're going to do amazing in this company. But if you've not done well in any of those companies, don't worry. You have so much growth potential because you've never been able to offer something for free. And when you start making money, and you're not having to recruit somebody too, sometimes that's nice too. So
Yeah, that you mentioned right there, Jeremy, was what sold my husband on it. Because like you, um, he has a master's of business administration, and he was like, I'm not a salesperson. I want something that is sustainable by itself, that it could grow, and that I could see it. So as soon as I was contacted and I saw the thing, I got excited, of course, because I network and he doesn't. But within 10 minutes, because we are teleworking right now, and him and I work at the same place. So I show it to him and he goes, I said, what do you think? And he goes, that sounds good. And it was that quick and that easy. It didn't take convincing. It didn't take a lot of time to talk him through it. He goes, I'm doing it. And of course, like you, he ran with the, what if I put this much? What if I, and I'm like, hold up. I know the company that well. Let's make sure this is gonna work. Let's not put all of our eggs in the same basket. Let's make sure. So I was excited about when Tanya set up this call, because I'm like, this is a chance for you to ask questions. So he saw your spreadsheet and he got all excited. Now he left because he had a haircut and he had hair all over. So he's like, it's getting itchy. So he went to shower. But
that's
yes,
funny.
he was all excited about this, and it didn't take any time. Less than, like I said, in about 10 minutes, he was like, I'm in it. So
Yeah.
today he signed up, took money out of savings, put it in there. So it's exciting, because no recruiting, and you're gonna get your money back and then some.
I always like to say, because I am an accountant, guys, I've gotten a lot better in front of a camera, because I literally had to do it weekly with students, things like that. But when I first started, guys, it was horrible. I was horrible on camera, and I was horrible getting in front of people. I've always been a pretty good public speaker outside of it, but you put a camera on and it was like, and I still have to battle that sometimes, because sometimes it's like the words just escape and you're like, where the hell's that word? And then you're like, oh, that's the word, but you're already way past the thought. But the thing is getting in front of people is not my wife's thing at all. She's always afraid that she's going to say something wrong. She's going to do something that embarrasses her. She's a complete shy person. I'm very outgoing. Me and her are very much, we level each other out, but I still can be an introvert from being an accountant. And so it's really weird, because I don't necessarily like to just reach out to people. And I'm like, it's a hard thing. It's the fear of really reaching out and making them feel. I've done a few other opportunities that, like, now it's all, okay, how many people are you going to reach out to? It's like, ugh, I don't know if I can ask my people for more money, right? Because they've done this and this and this. But this is something that I'm like, they have to see it. And so I've sat down with my parents, and my parents always supported me on all my network marketing adventures. Just bless their heart. They've always been my best customer. I will say that. Even I think if the product was crap, they would still buy it on a monthly basis. It's just one of those things, right? But even I wasn't doing Kyani for probably a year, 15 months or so. And all of a sudden, my $30 stopped coming in, and I'm like, hey, where did my commission go? Well, my parents finally stopped, because they're like, well, we've decided that you weren't really doing it anymore, so we decided that we didn't need to pay the money anymore. And I said, okay, well, that's fine. It was $30. It was what it was, right? But that's just how committed they are, always there to support me. But my parents, and I probably shouldn't share this, but I'm going to. My parents were scammed out of over 20 grand on a whole deal with a timeshare, and they were supposed to sell timeshare, all this stuff. And this was about 5 years ago, and my mom literally about gave her a mental breakdown, and to where she just didn't know what they were going to do. 20 grand. And I've always been looking for a way. My mom can literally sell ice to Eskimos, because she's just always been that kind of person. There's another saying that I won't say on here. I'll say, be very politically correct, but it's just funny, because there's been people that are always like, look, you can sell anything. If you believe in it, you can sell it. And I showed my mom this, and she's like, you don't really have to sell this. She's like, all you have to do is just see it, and then it sells itself. And that's the beauty of it, because when I showed her a spreadsheet and I told her, Mom, if you have $1,000, if you have $10,000, that 20 grand that you had that you lost, you can have made up in literally 3 months. And she goes, what? I'm like, yeah. Like, if you want it, or it'd be more like 4 months, right? But it's 3 contracts. So in 3 contracts, so 21 weeks, you're going to have that back. And so she's like, oh, maybe I need to start thinking about this and looking at this a little closer. And they're completely ready. I've also talked to a buddy that I never have talked to him about anything business. We were coworkers, didn't really have that kind of relationship. His wife's done some network marketing, but he's just not the kind of person that I've ever thought to kind of pitch, because sometimes friendships to me are more important than losing somebody, of being like, hey, you're going to lose that friendship because you've pitched them. And I didn't want to ever come across as that. But he called me a couple of days ago and he's like, Jeremy, I don't know what you're talking about on your Instagram. He goes, I don't even know why I got on Instagram today, but I saw one of your posts and I just want to talk to you about it. I'm like, okay, what's up? And he goes, well, what are you doing? And so I kind of explained, we have an auto trading bot in the Forex market, and we have Burex, and we have a couple other things going. And he goes, I have some crypto that's just sitting in my wallet and I don't know what to do with it. And he goes, do you have anything for that? I'm well, actually I do. And so he kind of like brought it up to me because he just never knew. He had accumulated Ethereum, accumulated Bitcoin just by purchasing, and never putting it up for staking or into Matrix or anything like that. And he's like, I just want to do something with it. And so I showed him this, and he's like, okay, I'm going to come up with even more money to put in because this is what I feel. And he's like, I'm so tired of working for somebody else's wealth. And that's the thing. As an employee, that's what you're doing. You're either making the investors money or you're making the owner money. And why can't we win? We can all win.
Yeah, one of the things you said, like I've had good success in Forsage, and I'm pretty much running my account and my husband's, but a lot of the team hasn't. And so when I finally did look at this, I was like, okay, this is going to be good for the whole team, because you don't have to recruit. Even if you just tell your own immediate family, like you just showed us, you tell your spouse or you tell your mom, you could potentially make 200 grand off one person. So with this, there's no reason why everybody can't succeed. And I mean, we've been in a week and we have 20 people under us, but my team's way bigger than that. I just haven't had time to tell everybody yet because we've been so busy building it already.
Yeah, and that is the beauty of this completely. Like, you guys are going to be on a fast track to build in this business anyways, because you already have a great loyal team, and the thing is that's because of your leadership. So and that's amazing. I love, I might not do a whole lot with Forsage guys, but I do. Like, one of my co-founders of CRC, he's put $7 grand into Forsage. So he put in a ton of money up front, and then he just kind of got scared off of it. But now he has $7,000 that's just sitting there. So I'm like, dude, you got to get in there, because I'm like, you got to get that money out somehow, some way. And so I know that there's some belief there. I think CRC, our company, is going to have some sort. There's also another one called Daisy that we're looking at. It launched and then it actually failed the launch. And so it's not looking so good right now. So I'm like, I'm glad Forsage has been a good takeoff. There's a lot of good things. And it's been very successful for not just Tanya and Rob. As it's funny, Tanya, that you say that you've been running Rob's account, because then you just give credit to him for making 100K, but really you just made 300K.
Yeah, he always says that too. He's like, I don't know why you say that. And I'm like, well, you make my graphics and you support me.
Yeah, and he's a great support system. And the thing is you can tell he's very knowledgeable too.
Yeah, he is. He knows everything that I know.
So it's really awesome. Like, my wife, she guys she's the mom. She's the mom that kind of just sits here and she goes, I trust in you, whatever you do, and I'm going to support you. And sometimes network marketing, guys, was not a pretty thing for me and my wife, because I did get so fixated and I had a hard time taking that time away to be with my family.
Mhm.
And so that was the one reason why we really stopped doing network marketing and got into e-commerce, because me and her could do e-commerce together, but I wasn't stuck to my phone.
Right.
And so that's a hard thing for spouses sometimes to learn, is I'm making money if I'm on my phone, but she just thinks I'm just on my phone.
Yep.
And it's like, but she doesn't think I'm paying attention to the kids, or I'm not paying attention to her. And she's not needy at all. She's become really spoiled since I've been work from home the last year. But at the same time, it's something that this, nothing. I get on and I look at our account and she's like, okay. And next week I'm taking her and I'm staying at, it's called the Tavern Hotel up in Sedona, Arizona. Well, it's Cottonwood, but it's right next to Sedona. If you guys have never been to Arizona, Sedona is beautiful, has hikes, look it up. Amazing place to stay. But the Tavern Hotel is something that I would say, if you're going to go stay somewhere, it's extremely romantic. And I'm like, I'm going to do it on Burex. And I'm going to take some money and pay it. And guess what? It's not touching our budget. And it's awesome to get away from our kids for a little bit. Grandma's going to keep kids